Good morning, everybody. Can everybody hear me clearly? Yes. Fantastic. Thank you for the beautiful intro. My name is Kier, Gaine, and just like he said, I am a husband, I am a father, I am a social media influencer, and I am also a licensed therapist. It is an absolute pleasure to be here today with you all and share thoughts and ideas. Thank you for your ears and your hearts in advance. Whenever I tell people, I'm just getting comfortable telling people I'm a social media influencer because no one thinks that's a real job. So what do you do all day? Do you take selfies and sip martinis while wearing bikinis? You don't even have the body for a bikini. And first off, don't body shame me. I look amazing in a bikini. Second, that's not the kind of influencer that I am. I'm the kind of influencer that helps people understand the way their thoughts, feelings, and behaviors dictate every single step along their life journey. I'm the kind of influencer that gives perspective and allows people to take an objective half step back and say, I never thought about it that way before. This was not always my job. I just started doing this in the beginning of 2020. Before, I was a special education administrator for the DC public school system. I did a video one day just about the power of personal growth, my own living testimony. And I uploaded it to the internet, and guess what happened? Nobody cared. I got about 200 likes, and 195 of them were family and friends. And as social media so often does, I wasn't doing well. My account just wasn't getting it done anymore. So I re-uploaded it, added some dramatic music and some subtitles. And it went crazy. I'm going to share the video with you all, and then we're going to have a conversation after.
A lot of young men, particularly young black men, hit me up being like, yo, I can't wait to be a dad. I can't wait to be a father. And I love that because I think the men that were a generation before us got raised by the men that were a generation before them. And those men didn't really know warm love because a man didn't express those things that way back then. And I feel like I owe those young men to tell them, like, bro, this is hard because it exposes things about you that you don't know about yourself. It exposes all of your insecurities. And it's a huge emotional undertaking if you do it the right way. So while you see me and Noemi hugged up and loved up on each other, and we got this cute vlog and we make these cute videos and cute pictures, it's because we put in an immense amount of work to make this thing happen, man. We do it every day. We be having sit-down vlogs and we be on the cusp of beefing with each other. But we find that one thing in common that just always brings us back to remembering why we're together. So, bro, when you see this and me playing with my baby and it looks really cool and you want to have those moments, just know that that's the upside. It comes with a downside, and it can be incredibly painful if you allow it to be. So before you take on a family, bro, go see somebody about your past and go see somebody about the trauma that you've endured throughout the course of your life and start healing. Because if you don't heal from that, you'll have all this and you'll never be happy. And I don't want that for nobody, especially anybody who thinks that you can just pour water over a lady and a baby and have a happy family overnight. This ain't oatmeal, man.
It most certainly is not oatmeal, man. One of the things that have helped me overcome bone-crushing poverty, a violent upbringing, and just all the things that pushed me in a direction to be in jail or dead like 90% of the friends that I grew up with were these 4 pillars of personal development. By the way, I almost didn't post that. I asked my wife, I let her see it, and I was like, should I post it? She was like, of course. I thought that I was talking about my feelings too much and that nobody would care. A message that my environment has taught me time and time again, and that most men receive in the same exact way. So here are the 4 pillars of personal growth that have completely changed my life. 1 is embracing the word can't. 2 is generating internal motivation. 3 is knowing when to cut the cord. And finally, 4 is going to be therapy, specifically talk therapy. Now, when we talk about embracing the word can't, I used to look at this as some type of indictment on who I am as an individual and what my capability is, where I could go. It was the proverbial lid on the jar of what I can actually reach in my life. I had to learn to reframe that. That's not true. Can't is actually just a statement of my capacity, skills, and abilities in this very moment. It doesn't live in perpetuity. It's not a painting of who I am in the grand scheme of things, rather a snapshot of today. Can is really great when we compartmentalize it, when we keep it in a place where it doesn't damage the entire of us. I liken it to a snake bite. Whenever you get bitten by a snake, they always say, try to cut it off at the hinging point of your body so that the venom doesn't reach your heart and get distributed throughout the entire body and kill you. I try to cut off can't in the moment right before I allow it to be an indictment on the entirety of me. Can't help me be able to raise my hand and say, hey, I need help. I'm not good at this thing right here. You're better at this thing. Can you show me how to do this? Can you show me how you got this? Can you do this for me? And in return, what I'll do for you is something that works within my wheelhouse. Can is powerful when we use it to work for us instead of against us. Next is generating internal motivation. Internal motivation is very much a self-propelling engine. When men come to see me for therapy, usually it's because a woman asked them to, or someone in their life asked them to. When they come to see me for therapy, it's because you need to be better for your kids. You need to be better for your partner. You need to be better for your community. You need to be better so that you're not damaging and violent. And time out. You need to be better for you. Conversely, external motivation is like those little sticks that hold up a baby tree. If you leave those sticks off of the tree, it doesn't have enough power to stand up on its own. I liken external motivation to a motivational speaker. We all love motivational speakers. A lot of the men that come and see me love motivational speakers. But a motivational speaker just lends you their confidence while you're in their orbit. Once you're gone and you don't have it anymore, you're only left with the resources that are intrinsic to you. And what are those? Internal motivation is something I had to develop to say, I love myself enough to reach out for the help, to reach my highest self and my highest potential, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. Am I on the right slide? I was not. Next is knowing when to cut the cord. My environment taught me a lot of things that were untrue about women and about people and about hate and about fighting and about members of the LGBTQIA+ community. Ignorant, vicious thoughts that have no merit and no substance. But my environment growing up dared me to challenge them every step of the way. Quitting isn't really when you walk away from something. Rather, quitting is when you give up on something before you've given your best effort while there's still enough time to make a realistic change about it. I had to learn how to pivot, how to stick my foot in the ground and say, this isn't really working for me. This patriarchal way of thinking isn't really working for me. Me expecting my wife to be the caretaker and the cooker and the cleaner and the carer and the everything is not working for me and my family. It's time to do something different. It's funny. I used to just tough it out and ignore the loud messages that I need to change something because I thought I was being more of a man by putting my head down and toughing through it. And in all actuality, I was confusing being tough with being strong. Being strong is when you look at your environment and you allow it to empower you to be the rising tide that lifts all ships. Being tough is when you can take a punch right to the chin, hit the floor, miss a couple of teeth, and get right back up and not change a single thing. Toughness is about endurance. Strength is about wherewithal and capacity. It's very different. Knowing when to say, this isn't working for me, I think I'm going to cut the cord. Finally, talk therapy. People are always shocked to find out that a therapist has a therapist. It's such a fascinating concept. You know my barber has a barber, right? And my dentist has a dentist. As Elton John once so beautifully sang, it's the circle of life. Good thing I'm a better speaker than a singer, right? Sometimes we conflate therapy with things that are therapeutic, especially men. I used to think that going to the gym and lifting those weights was therapy. I used to think that going and getting a deep tissue massage was therapy. I used to think that going and talking to my homies was therapy. No, those things are therapeutic. Those weights never helped me dig into my past trauma and address my abandonment issues from being a child that lost his mom in the middle of the night with no kiss or goodbye. Those deep tissue massages never helped me get to the root of my anxiety and face the fairy tale stories that it attaches to my deepest, darkest fears. It's one of those things where you step back and you take a 1,000-mile view of your life. And you have to really ask yourself, are these things helping me or are they making me feel good? Talk therapy has been amazing and transformational for me. Because when I talk to folks, a lot of people are saying, particularly men, well, there's nothing wrong with me. I don't need therapy. So, well, there's nothing wrong with me either, and that's why I go to therapy. The worst time to get your oil changed is when your engine blows up. I don't think I need to elaborate on that any further. These pillars of personal growth have been wildly instrumental in who I am today. In my early 20s, I spent a lot of time chasing money. In my mid-20s, I spent a lot of time chasing women. In my late 20s, I spent a lot of time chasing station and status. And then I got to my 30s and I became a husband and a father. And I said, wait, money isn't important, it's time. So I started chasing time autonomy. And now I own my own business and I have time autonomy. And I'm in my mid-30s now, and I am chasing harmony. Not balance, but harmony. I'm a member of a black fraternity called the Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. It is the best fraternity on the face of this planet. When I first crossed, I walked up to one of the older brothers, and he was like, young bro, let me teach you something real quick. He's like one of those real slick guys from the 70s. Did you know, young brother, that silk is just as strong as steel? I said, what? That doesn't make any sense. He was actually wrong. Silk is not just as strong as steel. Spider silk is 5 times stronger than steel. It is the strongest natural resource on this planet. Steel's strength is in its rigidity, its inability to bend to the weight that you sit on top of it. Silk's strength is in its flexibility, its ability to give weight to whatever you put on it, but never break. If we can teach more men that their strength doesn't have to be steel, it can be silk. You can move your power around and make room for the other people in the world. If we could teach men this and teach them that it doesn't take a withdrawal from your masculinity, instead it makes numerous deposits, then I think that's a world that I want to live in. And we can do that by having these conversations with men early, often, and as transparently as possible. I have full faith that we can do it by modeling the behavior and giving it a little clap, clap when it's doing the thing that it needs to do. Because validation, to every man that can hear this, because little boys know this very well before it's culturalized out of them. Validation is important. My name is Kier Gaine, and I thank you so much for listening.